The Alberta trapping community has plenty of people who deeply care about their industry and are willing to educate others about the role trapping plays in the landscape. Reaching a younger audience is one of the goals of the Trapper Education Outreach Program.
I had a grade 3 boy one time, before I even got to present, said to me, "I just want you to know nobody here likes you." And I kind of laughed and I said, "But you don't even know my name yet." And he said to me, "I know, but I saw your truck and I think you kill things." And I said, "Well, yes, that's part of what I do, but how about we have a session and you listen to what I have to say and we'll talk, and maybe you won't think that way again." At the end, he gave me a big hug and he said, you actually like animals. You actually care for them and stuff." And I said, "Yeah, we do. That's a bigger part of what we do."
With passion and dedication, this former principal turned trapper educator visits schools, sharing his knowledge with students of all ages. His goal? To instill a deep appreciation for the environment and the skills needed to protect it.
But I do really find a dramatic difference between, say, a rural audience, students that are from a farm area where they understand habitat and the amount of pasture we have and the amount of herd management that we care for the animals, but we can't keep them all. We're going to run out of food. So they understand that herd management. We're in an urban situation. Many of them haven't, meat comes from Sobeys or Costco, and they just don't understand that nature of dispatching animals, and so it's trickier, but it is really rewarding when they finally understand, well, why is an urban coyote coming in to take people's cats and dogs, and is that natural, and why is he there, and talking about what are you going to do once that animal starts doing those kinds of things, how do you do that, and sharing stories from biologists and so on. So it really is rewarding, moving them and getting to see a broader understanding of population management and ecosystems. Right from, you don't talk about that in say elementary, but in high schools when we talk to a biology 20 class about ecosystems and population management, it's really cool to see them see it in a deeper way.
When you look at, I guess, the future of trapping, and from your outreach, put your outreach hat on, you're working with so many different organizations, whether it's municipalities, provincial governments, private landowners. Is that sort of the way forward? I guess what I'm asking is, there's so much, and rightly so, tradition of what the trapping lifestyle represents, but have you moved beyond that now, that it has to include other elements of society?
I do. I think us interacting with organizations like Ducks Unlimited and there's a cool organization called Cows and Fish, and understanding how we all contribute to making this a healthy ecosystem. I guess the biggest thing that Dr. Ludwig Carbon, had some time to spend with him, and the best thing I learned from him was his worry is that people believe that if we just let nature take care of it, we just step aside and don't do any population management, it would be a better place. And he really made me understand how that's a really dangerous mindset, that it's really careless and irresponsible of us, because we're changing habitat. Farmers, forestry, we're always changing habitat. We give certain species an advantage, and his comment was, no biologist wants to see the extermination of one species over another because we gave one an advantage. And so whether we're talking about wolf populations, he made us understand that we have a responsibility, because we aren't just stepping aside from habitat changing. And so because of that, we need to take responsibility for the changes, those habitat changes that humans make in the ecosystem and populations. So we need to try and keep it in balance.
I guess a couple of years ago, you folks opened up a new education center, and with that opening came a number of new programs. Maybe just give us a sample of, again, you talked about going beyond just trapping and other conservation programs that you're offering.
The new program that we have is, you mentioned the urban students and trying to get them to see the why and maybe eventually the how, but that's tricky. But the biggest thing I think that I tell students at every place I go is, to get out and be present in nature, not just because of understanding the ecosystem, but for our own wellness. The reality is there's a lot of research for school-age students and adults that we're less connected to nature than ever before, but some of us have lots of strong ideas about it, but you don't really understand it unless you're present. So all the programs we do, we take kindergarten, we do a walk wild with kindergarten. We take them out for a day on our fur management area, and we just are present in nature. What do you see? What do you hear? What do you smell? And we do some bushcraft, but the focus is to be present. What animals do you see? What tracks do you see? And once you start to be present, you understand the ecosystem, and we can gradually show maybe in certain areas where populations have exploded and we might need to manage, but mostly just to get connected to nature. That's the most important part. And then you can start to see the why and the how of possibly population management, because you need to be there for your own wellness, but also to have a deeper understanding of what conservation has to look like. Yeah.
Are you optimistic about the future of not only, I guess, wildlife conservation, but the trapping industry itself?
I think so. It's just, it's really, ours is a really grassroots, and it's easy. I guess it's easy. I'm optimistic because of the groups that we have out. They want to come back. We really are blessed. We've talked to teachers convention and youth, and people are really starting to connect to nature. Morris Kohansky in the 70s talked about getting people out on the land and so on, and it's been a slow road, but it really is starting to explode. I think people, whether it's Earth Day and so on, we're really realizing the impact we can have on environment and habitat. And I think people are starting to see the role that we can play in creating healthy ecosystems. We just need to make sure people have a deeper understanding of it and don't simplify it and think that we can just put it in a snow globe and protect it. We have to interact with it. We have to understand it. Even cattails, I spend lots of time with cattails because there's so many uses for shelters and for rope and for food. And so once kids realize a riparian area is such a gift, well, we're not so tempted to drain it. We understand that. Yeah.
So the outreach program isn't just about trapping. It's about education, conservation, and community. It's about understanding our environment and our role in protecting it. Here, the lessons of the wild are taught one student at a time.